If you're thinking of visiting Melbourne, you're going to want to make sure that you see all of the top attractions. I'm Lisa from Australian travel and migration blog dreamingofdownunder.com. I've lived in Australia since 2015 and I've travelled almost the whole coastline of Australia. In this video, I'm going to run through my top 15 things to do in Melbourne. Number 1 is to have coffee in Melbourne's Laneway Cafes. I think coffee culture is one of the things that Melbourne is best known for. It has a very European culture, apparently from the early Italian and Greek settlers. So you'll find lots of really cool, funky cafes in Melbourne, and it has these narrow laneways such as De Graves, which has really, really cool cafes. So make sure you go and check those out. Number 2 is to visit the Botanic Gardens in Melbourne. This is only 2 kilometres from the city and they're absolutely beautiful. There's over 8,500 different plant species. You can go and have a picnic by the lake there. You can go to the cafe there, which has great views, or just sit back on the grass and enjoy the day. Number 3 is to go on a trip down the Great Ocean Road. This is one of Australia's most well-known scenic drives. It's about 243 kilometres long and it goes between Allansford and Torquay. I would give at least 3 days for this if possible. There is a lot to see. It's very well known for the 12 Apostles, which is the big rock formation in the sea, but there are loads of other rock formations as well, so give yourself a few days if possible. You've also got really fun holiday towns like Lorne and Torquay, which are popular with surfers and locals go on holiday there. If you're heading there in summertime, make sure you allow some time to enjoy those places. I've got a whole blog post on what to see on the Great Ocean Road and all the top attractions and where to stay, so I'll link to that below. Number 4 is to visit the Queen Victoria Market, which is a huge open-air market in the city which covers 7 hectares of land. It started over 140 years ago and is the biggest open-air market in the Southern Hemisphere. You'll find clothing, gifts, food and plenty of other things there. Number 5 is to visit some of Melbourne's beaches. Melbourne is set on Port Phillip Bay and it does have some great beaches. The most well-known beach is St Kilda Beach, which is kind of like Melbourne's version of Bondi, I would say. That's got a really fun atmosphere. It's got cafes and shops and things there, so make sure you check that out. Also, Brighton Beach is quite popular. That's got the famous painted beach huts, which you may have seen on Instagram. I also went to one called Black Rock Beach, which was quite nice. Number 6 is to go up the Eureka Skydeck. This was my absolute favourite thing to do in Melbourne. It's a really, really tall building where you can go up and see views all across the city. It's really beautiful. The viewing platform is 285 metres high, so you've got really fantastic views. I went just before sunset and watched the city light up, which was absolutely perfect. It was quite busy though, so make sure you allow enough time. Number 7 is to just walk around the city centre or CBD and marvel at some of the older architecture. Melbourne is very different looking from some of the more modern looking cities like Perth and Brisbane. It's a bit more similar to Sydney in that it's still got quite a lot of old buildings. A big proportion of the buildings are quite old in the city. Flinders Street Station is a really iconic building in Melbourne. Also, the State Library of Victoria is really, really beautiful. Number 8 is to take a trip to Phillip Island off the Mornington Peninsula. This is a really well-known spot for little penguins. You can go and watch the penguin parade where you'll see thousands of little penguins come in for the night and find their bed. Also, the coastal scenery here is really, really amazing. Number 9 is to check out Melbourne Street Art. Melbourne is a very, very artistic, trendy, hipster kind of place and there's lots of great street art. Well-known spots are Hosier Lane and Union Lane, but also if you go to Fitzroy, that's got really cool bars, restaurants, cafes, and lots of the buildings have really great street art on. Number 10 is to visit Melbourne Docklands. This is great if you want restaurants and bars. It's quite a modern area on the waterside, and you've also got shops at Waterfront City. Number 11 is to go on a day trip to the Dandenong Ranges. This is less than an hour away from the city and it's got really cute villages and some hiking trails and really amazing views. Number 12 is to go and visit some art galleries at South Bank. This is just on the south side of the river in the city. It's very close to the Botanic Gardens, so you could do both of those in one day. One of your options is the National Gallery of Victoria, which has a really cool stained glass ceiling. And the Australian Centre for Contemporary Art is really cool too and in a really iconic building. Number 13 is to go on a trip to Wilson's Promontory, or Wilson's Prom as it's known. This is a national park just southeast of the city. You've got miles of hiking trails, you've got campsites, you've got lots of wildlife, and you've got some really, really lovely beaches. So if you're a nature lover, this is a really, really good location. It's also the most southern point of mainland Australia. Number 14 is to get out into some of the funky suburbs in Melbourne for food and drink. Fitzroy and Collingwood are very popular, lots of restaurants and bars, so really good for a night out. Try heading to Brunswick Street and Smith Street and you'll find lots of things to do there. Number 15 is to go shopping in Melbourne. Melbourne is a very fashion conscious city and it's very cool, so that's the place to go if you want to go shopping. Try heading to Melbourne Central or the Block Arcade or Burke Street Mall. Okay, that's it for my top 15 things to do in Melbourne. I hope you have a great time if you're heading there. Let me know in the comments if you have any other favourite things to do in Melbourne. Make sure you check out my blog to find out the best things to do in Australia's major cities, and I've also got lots of destination guides across the coastline. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos on life and travel in Australia. Thanks for watching. If you're thinking of visiting Melbourne, you're going to